We lost our way.
Parts of San Francisco have been described as being stuck in a perpetual doom loop.
I stepped on poop on the way to work at 5:30 in the morning.
A never-ending pattern of crime, chaos, and death. But some of the most problematic neighborhoods in the city.
Hey, sir, is Tenderloin looking better?
Oh, yeah, it is.
Could be getting ready to break out of this vicious cycle.
I am filled with hope for San Francisco's future.
That's because new Mayor Daniel Lurie
Good to see you. Everything good? Under control?
is on a mission to reclaim what was once a thriving downtown core and restore law and order on the streets.
If you are selling drugs in this city, we're coming after you.
In this multi-part series with Frontline's Turning Point USA and Discovery Institute Center on Wealth and Poverty, we're spotlighting the early stages of what could be San Francisco's comeback story.
I think there's a renewed sense of hope and optimism here.
Have a good night.
Lurie invited us along as he personally checked in on business owners, letting them know he's walking with them every step of the way.
Good man. The cleaners know the beach.
The mayor's focus on public safety is already being amplified in some of the most notorious hotspots, like the Tenderloin and south of Market. Cops are clearing out drug dens and the black market of stolen goods, with a strong police presence more visible than ever. Just ask J.J. Smith,
And he has implemented some good stuff.
a citizen journalist and social media influencer who lives in the area. He's been holding public officials accountable
What's up with this bro in the bed tweaking?
by documenting the urban decay and human suffering for years.
Usually they come over here and they sell all the stolen goods.
Smith recently opened up this small cafe in the Tenderloin as a sign of confidence in Lurie's turnaround story. But the situation is far from perfect.
Mayor Lurie helping clean up the streets? Is it looking better?
It's too early to comment.
Honduran drug dealers still operate in the sanctuary city,
I'm serious. Don't sell no dope right here.
staying a few steps ahead of ICE agents who are desperately trying to capture them.
Hey. All right. Now those the Hondos.
He just came up to me and said, "Hey, buddy, you need any?"
Yeah, that's the Hondos right there.
They just offered me drugs.
Yeah.
Like they're killing kids out here and they don't care.
And when the sun sets, the streets still look like a horror show.
They suffering from that drug addiction.
And now the Mission District looks like hell.
The new mayor is inheriting what Tom Wolfe calls the epicenter of drug tourism on the West Coast.
If I hadn't been locked up, I'd be dead right now.
Wolfe is a recovering addict himself, and his lived experience has the mayor's attention.
That means more drug treatment. That means treatment on demand.
The narrative about drugs and homelessness has completely changed.
He says homelessness on the streets is primarily being fueled by the fentanyl crisis, mental illness, and failed public policies to address it.
So you have a place to stay.
I do.
Why do you come out here then?
Because a lot of my friends are over here.
There's a subset of people on the street that are going to have to be forced into drug treatment. That's part of the deal.
That's why Lurie just signed a new directive called Breaking the Cycle that will focus more resources and funding on drug treatment and recovery. But in order to chart a new path forward, Lurie is still trying to clean up the mess from prior administrations.
What we call a 10-year plan to end chronic homelessness in San Francisco.
Then he has to assess what's working and what's not. Two public policies that are now being heavily scrutinized by his administration: Housing First and harm reduction.
It really engenders dependency
Housing First is a federally funded program that was supposed to end unsheltered homelessness in America by building out apartments for everyone living on the streets. No strings attached.
meaning you cannot require sobriety, you cannot require employment training, you cannot require engagement in any addiction services.
But after more than a decade and billions spent in taxpayer dollars,
And yet, since 2011, homelessness has increased 15% in LA, 24% in San Francisco.
homelessness, especially on the West Coast, is at an all-time high.
Well, we might be on the verge of major changes in San Francisco.
Then there's fentanyl, a game changer that's made matters worse on the streets. Even with the harm reduction approach, where state-funded nonprofits give away meth pipes and needles to prevent the spread of disease, at least 2 people die of drug overdoses in San Francisco each day, which has led to thousands of deaths just in the past few years.
Everyone's smoking fentanyl. Yeah. They're using the supplies they were just given.
Yeah.
When our team was on the ground in the Mission District, workers with the San Francisco AIDS Foundation never offered addicts treatment options.
Did they say, hey, you want to get off fentanyl? Hey, here's a place you can go to get off fentanyl. Did they tell you where to go?
No, they didn't.
Instead, they handed out supplies like candy on an assembly line.
Wait, they didn't offer you any treatment or detox?
No.
Even drug users like Mike say this is enabling his problem.
What the hell do they give you?
Real low for the crack pipe. Bubble for...
What do you need all this foil for?
I guess for smoking the fatty, the fentanyl.
Is there any safe way to smoke Fetty? Like,
It's fatty. There's nothing safe about that. You touch it, you get OD and die.
The other thing that bothers me about, I think, leaning in so much where harm reduction becomes the end-all, be-all of
Supervisor Matt Dorsey is also a recovering addict.
Nothing we're doing to tolerate or enable public drug use in our city is helping anybody.
And one of Mayor Lurie's strongest allies.
Just finished a walk of the neighborhood.
Dorsey says even his more progressive colleagues
We can never again get into a situation like this where we've just lost control.
are starting to realize there needs to be a course correction.
I think ultimately it's going to get more people in recovery and will save a lot of lives.
Effectively kicking her when she's down.
But with real change comes pushback from the people with a different vision for the most vulnerable in San Francisco.
We have housing first for a small portion of the population. So we can't say something has failed that we actually haven't tried.
Jennifer Friedenbach is the executive director at the Coalition on Homelessness, a far-left activist group that insists homelessness is caused by capitalism, systemic racism, and a lack of affordable housing.
You don't have as much of a need for police, right?
The nonprofit has also sued the city over encampment sweeps, and Friedenbach is already critical of the mayor's new policies.
We have a lot of hope that Lurie will move in the direction of actual solutions rather than tried and failed policies like the war on drugs.
But there's no choice to stay on the streets any longer. We need people in treatment.
Lurie says the city's culture of enablement and inhumane conditions
What we are going to do is we're going to be relentless.
will transition into one of accountability, recovery, and true compassion.
I'm prioritizing San Francisco and San Francisco residents.
Hoping to rewrite the narrative from doom loop to boom loop.
And what I say to people is be patient, don't be too patient, but it's going to take us some time to overcome the challenges.